Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents I'd Like to Say Sorry, But There's No One to Say Sorry To. Stories by Mikolaj Grynberg. Translated by Sean Gasper Bai. Narrated by Charles Constant. Unnecessary Trouble. I was properly scared to meet you in my town. What's to say no one would recognize you? Better to keep our heads down and have somebody see us both there. Maybe somebody's read one of those Jewish books of yours. That kind of trouble I don't need one bit. I thought to myself, I'll get on a train, a couple of hours, and I'm there. And I'm sure it's more comfortable for you to meet locally than ride a couple of hours like that. It's good you agreed. I was worried you'd insist on coming with some documents or photos to look at. We'd have had to hide for sure, just like those people in your books. I'd have been ashamed, and that would have been the end of it, because how would that look? Inviting a Jew to come hide. If you want to ask me some questions, go ahead, but I'll warn you, I've got everything thought through already. Well, maybe not everything, but plenty. First of all, how are you going to make sure no one works out it's me? Because I'd rather leave out my town, my name, my age, my job, and definitely how I look. Because that's the easiest way to recognize a person. That's probably enough, right? I think it's enough. And you've got to promise that's exactly what you'll do. I'm sorry to be so blunt right off the bat, but you know how it is. The kind of trouble you write about in those books of yours. I don't need that one bit. Speaking of which, all that stuff is more than a normal person can imagine. You made up a few of those stories there, right? About half of them have got to be made up, which means the rest are true, right? Fine. It's no business of mine anyhow. Even without you, I've got enough trouble of my own. Won't you tell me what it is about you, you Jews, that whatever anyone says about you, it's never a neutral subject? I'm talking so much because I've got a story to tell you, but I somehow can't get started. I'd planned out just about everything on the train, but in person like this, it feels totally different. Listen, what is it with you guys that you make everything so complicated? With me, things are simple, because I work where I told you. I'm as old as I said I was. I've already described my family, and there you go. Everything's clear. But not with you guys. First you've got to deceive everybody, then frighten everybody, then shock them, and then, at the very end, you die and leave a great big mess. You get what I'm saying? Maybe I'm talking all jumbled. I don't want to say talking like a Jew. I'm working up to it, but I'm doing the best I can. Luckily, I bought a two-way ticket, so I wouldn't have too much time with you. That's why I keep looking at my watch, not out of bad manners. Has anybody else wanted to tell you a story, or am I the only one? Well, what does it matter to me anyhow? All right, now or never. I've got a lot of questions, a lot of resentment, but you're the least guilty of anyone in all this. It's not your fault my sister showed me your books, but the subject had already come up by then. Only that's not your fault either. Will you tell me if it works for you guys like in the jokes about Jews? How when a Jewish man dies, he summons his whole family and they stand around him, and he pronounces these words of wisdom and says something special to everyone. Because if it is, I don't know why you joke about it. Does death amuse you? Death isn't funny to me, especially when someone close to you dies. Someone where you've known her since you were born and know everything about her, because her whole life she has told every one of us her stories 100 times each. And then you find out you know a little bit, but mostly you don't. Our grandmother died almost a year ago now. But before she did, she managed to tell us what you're probably already imagining. We're standing beside that bed of hers, the whole family. Parents, me and my sister, and our little kids. And suddenly, before you know it, she's saying she's a Jew, and she couldn't pass away without telling us. We look at one another and can't believe our ears, because we didn't hardly look Jewish at all. My sister takes me off to the side and says, Grandma's not getting enough oxygen now. That's why she's talking like that. But Grandma doesn't give up. She starts telling our family story about those ghettos of yours, those camps, Auschwitzes, sisters, brothers, gas, and all the rest. What's a normal person supposed to make of all that? And I'm telling you, it wasn't like a Jewish joke. The next day, our grandmother, a non-Jew her entire life, died. And who was left? Her Jewish daughter and her Jewish grandkids, right? Because that's how it works with you guys, right? And what are we expected to do? We're not even sure anybody knows about this except us and you. It wasn't a message she passed on to us. It was fear. I came here on behalf of my family to thank you for that fear. Who was I supposed to go to? The parish priest? Your stories. You deal with them yourself. I'm going, or else I'll miss my train. Arcadia. You know how fall gets here. Rain or shine, the dog's gotta go out. I run into various unfortunates from around the world, wandering baffled through my neighborhood. They have distinguishing marks. A map of Warsaw in one hand, a map of the ghetto printed off the internet in the other. They come all year round, but fall is when I feel most sorry for them. They're looking this way and that. You can tell from a distance they're helpless as babies. And I stand there with my dog and think to myself, to help or not to help. Sometimes I go up to them, though my English is so terrible I don't really talk to them. I just give a friendly smile and say, in my heavy accent, "Can I help you?" They mainly ask for Mila Bunker and Rappaport, though recently I've also gotten museum. The Jewish museum is easy. The Jewish Partisans Bunker on Miwa Street I also got quickly. It took me a while to work out Rappaport referred to the sculptor of the Ghetto Heroes Memorial. Most of them are really suspicious. I get why they don't trust a random Polish man, but it's hard to reach out to someone who's being so prickly. Mila Bunker. All right, let's go. I live nearer to John Paul II Avenue, so it's about 600 meters to the bunker on Miwa Street. The conversation doesn't flow because I look like an adult, but one who doesn't know how to talk. I do my best. I smile. I stay a little off to one side, a little ahead, so they feel safe. I wonder what stories their parents and grandparents told them about us Poles. They talk amongst themselves in various languages, usually Hebrew or English. Normally, I take a straight path to the bunker, but if there are any excavations going on, I change my route. I avoid them, because I'm afraid of what people might see there. This I learned with some young people from Israel, I think. We're walking, smiling warmly, gorgeous weather because it's summer. Then they stop all of a sudden and peer into this pit. I'm standing a little further off, but even from there, I know what they've seen. They turn to me and ask, "Human bones?" And, what am I supposed to tell them? I nod sadly. They've worked it out anyway. They're only looking for confirmation. They're standing there, the two of them, tears flowing down their cheeks, and I don't know what to do with myself. If I knew how, I'd work up the courage to say I cry over those bones too. I'd give them a hug, and maybe they'd even return the embrace. I prefer older tourists. They're nicer, more open. I talk to them more as we walk those 600 meters. A lot of the time, young people treat me like I'm trying to get money out of them. I swallow these silent insults. I know by the corner of Mila and Dubois they'll want to get rid of me, but a few try to pay me. I can cope with that. The worst is when they're thanking me and they say, "You are a good Pole." I can't even explain how much that hurts me. If they knew that for years I've been collecting all the bones sticking out of the ground and looking for a fitting place for them, then maybe they'd say I'm a very good Pole. I used to inform the city. I would ask them to make sure the bones got buried. Then I would call around to various Jewish organizations. I was looking for a contact to the Jewish community. But I realized that for religious reasons the rabbis would fight to halt the construction.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?